Good morning, grade 8s. This is Monday, April 6th, and I want to take a quick minute to talk about history and language arts. Mr. Winslow and I spoke to each other, and we've decided that because history is quite language intensive, especially this unit on Confederation and the building of Canada, that we would use the history questions, answers, and activities to guide the language arts marks. There will be some other activities we add in to kind of augment that language arts, but for the most part, your history will give us a lot of your writing assessment in terms of sentence structure, capitals, periods, punctuation. Are you answering the question fully? Are you giving us support for your answers? Do I know what you're answering? Or do I know what the question is based on reading your answers? So those are some of the tips you need to look at as you're giving me your answers. In addition to that, those of you who are still having difficulty writing on the document, I am going to put in another video right after this one that will show you step by step how you write in DocHub, save it to your Google Drive, and how you can share it with me. In terms of language arts and history, like I said, we are looking for good answers. We're looking for capitals on the beginning of sentences, on the proper nouns, names of people, places. We're looking for, are you giving us a run-on sentence? Are you using commas properly? Can you combine sentences so that your writing starts looking a little bit more mature? I will provide feedback on your the documents that you submit to me, whether it's just a regular Google Doc or through DocHub, so you can start improving those writing skills. And there may be a few days where we add in some writing reminders under the language arts sections of our Google Classroom. I'll let you know if that happens. So I'd like you to take a look at the next video that shows you how to work in DocHub. If for some reason you really don't like working in DocHub, that's fine. Just keep using your Google Doc. It's easy if you submit each day so that A, I can keep on top of marking, and B, you can keep on top of your assignments. You don't want to let them lag and suddenly you have 14 to 28 sheets to fill out when I'm looking for a submission date. Ideally, at the end of each week, I would like to have that week's work submitted so that I can mark it. I hope everyone's well. Please feel free to keep emailing me your questions and any concerns you have. In terms of history, we are looking at the building of Canada. We are looking at Britain, understanding that it's really expensive to keep a colony going, to keep supplies, to keep men there. So when the provinces or the individual territories decided that maybe they would like to have their own self-government, Britain was pretty much all right with that. They were happy to unload some of that financial burden that they'd been carrying with the colony. And then we start seeing groups developing. The Maritimes are one particular group. They knew that their needs were individual. They knew that not everybody had the same shipping problems that they would have, and that they're kind of isolated from the rest of the mainland. So originally the Maritimes wanted to provide or group themselves together and be their own little country. And as you have seen in the readings from last week, that the provinces and territories that are on the mainland wanted to convince them to become part of a bigger union. So we have the Charlottetown Conference where the Maritime provinces were going to meet up, and the provinces from the mainland in Canada said, can we come? We'd like to talk to you about this and what you're doing. So off they went. They joined the Charlottetown Conference, and they got them to understand that as a bigger union, they'd have more play in an international market, that they could help each other out more. We then have the Quebec Conference, where everyone gets together. We now have Quebec having its own concerns. We want our own distinct identity. We want to keep our faith. We want to keep our language. We have the Maritimes. We have specific needs in the Maritimes. We have the West saying, hey, we're pretty far away from you guys. You want to make this worth it to us, you need to build a railroad. So as these groups come together, we have major players coming into play, such as Sir John A. Macdonald, Galt, D'Arcy McGee, all sorts of political figures that are the founding fathers of our country. as the negotiations continue, four of the provinces decided to band together and form confederation. Canada was developed over a series of steps. It wasn't like we went from being a British colony to 10 provinces, 3 territories, and it was all said and done. What happened was the four groups banded together, and then other groups started saying, hey, you know what, this isn't a bad idea. It's really expensive to be on our own. We don't have the protection of Britain anymore. So we would have Prince Edward Island join. Then we would have another area join until we get to a larger group. When we have Confederation in 1867, the Maine government decided that they would take care of certain things like building the railroad, paying the lieutenant governor, paying the debts of the provinces as they stood now, so that everybody could end up on an even footing. We talked a little bit, or the readings talked a little bit about fairness. Well, if you have a very small population in the Maritimes and larger populations in Ontario, Quebec, and heading out west, the more people you have, the more seats you have. What happened was we had a government that was based on the population. So the Maritimes realized very quickly they weren't getting what they wanted because they didn't have enough votes in the government. So again, we have another change in the structure of our government. And where we are right now at the end of that first week of history, and for some of you, I haven't seen you online, so you probably have a little bit of catch up to do, is we're looking at those fathers of Confederation, who they were, what they stood for, how the provinces joined into Confederation, and a little bit more in depth about the Charlottetown, Quebec conferences. Again, if you have any questions, please let me know. I'm happy to help out with any of the questions. I'm happy to help out with any of the readings. If you're struggling with any of the language in the readings, you are able to open that Google Doc separately and have Google Read and Write read those pages to you. So if you're struggling with some of the comprehension, hearing it might help you. I hope everybody is doing great, and I will see you at the beginning of next week, which is April the 13th. Have a great week, everybody. Bye-bye.